All right. Well, I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and get started, just be respectful of the agenda. And we are expecting two more people to join us, so we don't have any official action to take for a moment. We can go ahead and do that. Um, Commissioner Jacobson, just let me know whenever you're done with that, and I'll go ahead and get started.
We are live on YouTube, so we're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And Commissioner Jacobson, would you mind just keeping an eye on the participants in case Commissioner Grant or someone
Yep.
needs to be promoted? Thank you. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Great, thank you very much. All right. I now call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Welcome to ANC 1E's April General Body Meeting. A few administrative notes. Today's meeting is being recorded. Closed caption is available for each user by clicking the button on the toolbar below. Please submit questions through the Q&A function, also located on the toolbar below. Commissioners will be keeping an eye on the Q&A throughout the evening. If you're calling in rather than participating through the web, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. And
I just promoted
roll
Commissioner
call.
Howard.
Great. Thank you very much. And Commissioner Grant is still not with us. Commissioner Jacobson, would you mind doing the roll call?
I'm totally fine with that.
Great, thank you.
All right. First up, sorry, I'm trying to remember the order of everyone since it's been a while since I've had to done this. First up, we have Commissioner Howard.
Present.
Commissioner Howard is present. Commissioner Grant. I don't see Commissioner Grant in the audience. Oh, I see Commissioner Grant just joined us.
I am here.
Great. Commissioner Hawker is not here, and that's expected at this point. Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Brown is present. Commissioner Newland.
Present.
Commissioner Newland's present. Commissioner Jacobson, that's me, I'm present, and Commissioner Footer.
Present.
With 6 out of 7 seated commissioners in present tonight, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks, Josh.
Per DC law, the ANC 1E meeting was noticed to the community via listserv, social media website, and e-calendar. Moving to the approval of the agenda. Tonight's agenda, we'll go through the consent agenda, which has 2 items I'll read in a moment when we get there. We have community announcements and presentations, where we have 2 special guests, one from DPR and one from PEPCO, and then we'll have our normal report outs from Councilmember Nadeau's office and then the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. For members of the public who raised their hand earlier, this is the point in the meeting where we'll open it up to the community, and you're happy to ask any questions or provide any comments at that point. Then we'll move on to official business, where it's structured as our committees are. Due to some timing with some of the committee chairs, we did change the order. We'll go Zoning and Economic Development Committee, which has no resolutions, Transportation and Public Space Committee, which has 2 resolutions, Public Safety with no resolutions, and then in other business, we have 1 resolution. So with that, are there any edits, amendments to the agenda? Right, hearing none, I'll now accept a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And Commissioner Grant, great, thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Hearing none. All right, with 6 votes in favor, 0 opposed, and no abstentions, the motion passes and the agenda is approved. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. So just a reminder, all matters listed under consent are considered by the commission to be routine and will be enacted by 1 motion. Any commissioner may, however, remove an item from the consent agenda by request in order for it to be further discussed. Tonight's consent agenda includes approval of the public meeting minutes from last month and approval of our quarterly financial report for Q2. Does anybody wish to move any of these items out of the consent agenda for further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll now accept a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the consent agenda.
Is there any dissent? All right, hearing none, motion passes and the consent agenda is approved. All right, moving to community announcements. Commissioners and members of the community can use this time to make public announcements, distribute information, or alert the community about issues. We'll start with two special guests this evening. First, with Mr. Christopher Dyer from the DC Department of Parks and Recreations. Then we'll move on to Mr. Travers Culpepper with PEPCO. Each special guest will have 5 minutes to present, then take questions from commissioners and the public. After our special guests, we'll move to commissioners, then move to the Councilmember Brianne Nadeau's office, then the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, also known as MOKers, then members of the public. All speakers will have 3 minutes. If you're here to speak on an issue or topic under official business, please hold until we get to that agenda item later on in the meeting. With that, I will turn it over to, we'll promote Mr. Dyer.
I promoted him to panelist.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Dyer, the floor is yours. I'll also stop presenting. I know you mentioned you were coming with a presentation.
Sure. I love the slide deck. It helps me keep
Love it.
on point.
Welcome. The floor is yours, please.
Excellent. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Here we go. Wow. Share. Excellent. That worked. You know, only 3 years into this job and post-pandemic, I finally have figured out how to get a slide deck up on the thing. Anyway, so my name is Christopher Dyer. I'm the community engagement manager for the DC Department of Parks and Recreation. I think this is my 3rd visit to ANC 1E. It's my pleasure always. I see some familiar commissioners, Commissioner Footner and Jacobson, and Commissioner Howard, who has emailed me and been very patient as we've tried to organize a tour of Parkview. So very quickly, because I know your questions are more interesting than what I'm about to present. For those of you who do not know, DPR is the #1 park ranking system in the country. We host programs and events year-round in 244 sites across 900 acres of green space in all 8 wards. And we have upwards of 100+ different capital improvement projects in our construction pipeline to support the park system. And so we're a bit busy. Here are some websites that are some of the big websites that you need to know. DPR.events has a list of all the upcoming special events at DPR. DPRprograms.com is our main site that you should visit. And if you remember anything from this presentation other than my attempts at humor, remember DPRprograms.com because it has information on all the programs, including how to sign up. DPR.dc.gov/locations has locations of a DPR facility in case you're interested in never leaving Ward 1 and finding other places to go. And then DPR.dc.gov/permits is our one-stop location on how to host an event at a DPR site. As I mentioned, DPR Programs is one of the main sites I want to talk to you guys about today. We program on a quarterly basis, and we're starting. And one of the reasons I'm here tonight is to talk about our summer season. Program registration will be on May 13th for aquatics programs and May 14th for all other programs. Before that date, please make sure you have a RecTrack account. Go to dprprograms.com to make sure you have a RecTrack account, that you've had your residency verified, and that you're good to go so that when you try to get in on May 13th to sign up for an aquatics program, you don't get kicked out because we're waiting for something. So please take this opportunity to sort of pre-check yourself, make sure everything's set, and then you'll have no problems at least getting into the waiting room on the 13th for our aquatics programs. For those of you who have never tried to do a DPR program before, please note our aquatics programs are very, very popular, and we hope that you have patience as you try to get in. But again, we really would prefer that you make sure everything's squared away before you start so that you are at least have a good chance of getting in. We also offer a reduced rate, and we do this year round now. You get a 50 to 75% discount depending on income level. The application approval is good for the entire calendar year. So visit dprprograms.com for more information and to complete the application. Permits. Oh, also, I wanted to give a quick tease for everyone. As you may or may not know, summer is actually coming. Our outdoor pools, for the you don't know, are all supposed to open on Memorial Day weekend, and they will be open on weekends until school gets out, and then we have a full schedule of program pools. So go to dpr.dc.gov to see our pool schedule. Also, all of our spray parks should be open or plan to open on Memorial Day weekend at the latest. Permits. DPR requires a permit for any organized picnic or activity for 10 or more participants. Please visit dpr.dc.gov/permits or call 202-673-7647 on how to get a permit. Please, when you're applying for a permit, plan on applying at least 3 to 4 weeks in advance. We get upwards to over 30,000 permit applications a year, so it does take us a few minutes to get through them all. So again, please go visit the site and don't suddenly plan to have a birthday party with your child in a week and say, hey, can I get a permit? Because chances are you might not be able to. Maintenance. So for those of you who do not know, the Department of General Services provides all the maintenance for DPR properties. And they are now on 311. So you can fill out a 311 service request. You'll see overflowing. I want to highlight 2 quick things for you. The 2 common things we get are trash cans that are overflowing. Please note that the brown trash cans are actually serviced by DPW, and the blue ones are serviced by DGS. Please don't ask me why. That's just how it is. So when you put in a 311 request, that would be great. Also, we really would be grateful for you if you're in a park and you see something that needs to be maintained to put in a 311 request. You can also email me after you put it in with a picture, which is also very important, to christopher.dyer@dc.gov, and we'll follow up. I just actually filled out a service request before I got on this call. So that's it. DGS on 311. We're very happy. Finally, again, I'm Christopher Dyer. I'm the Community Engagement Manager of Parks and Rec. My cell is 202-702-9453. My email is christopher.dyer@dc.gov. And commissioners, I am basically the MOCR for DPR for you. So I'm your primary point of contact. I also decided when I took this job that I needed some street cred. So I'm also an ANC commissioner. I am on my 4th non-consecutive term, 2nd consecutive term as a commissioner. I've been in DC government for a few minutes. So please feel free to email me, text. Actually, email is much preferred, especially if you want me to ask someone to do something. Some of you can even do Teams, I've heard, but the easiest is email, and phone calls are also a lot of fun because there's a lot. It sometimes makes it easier for me to disseminate how I can help you get the problem solved. So, and I'm also a huge extrovert, so I love talking on the phone. I know it's rare. I'm also not a millennial, so not to make fun of the millennials who are wonderful, and we adore them, but I'm old school. And feel free as commissioners to call me up to 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night because I know that we're all out on different hours. And also, I wanted to thank you all for doing this work. It's very important and thankless at times. Also, I wanted to thank everyone who's attending this call. I find that ANCs are the best part of civic engagement in the world. And, it's a great I'm glad you guys are spending time on a Wednesday night, showing up on a Zoom call to learn more about your community. So with that, I'll answer questions. Please note, I'm on my way to the Capitals playoff game after this, so I might be a little bit more rushed than I normally am. But I really look forward to your questions, and it's good to see the commissioners I've had the pleasure of working with, and I see hands up. So Commissioner Footer, it's all up to you.
Thank you so much. Let's start off with Commissioner Howard.
Well, I want to defer to Commissioner Grant because I know she had some initial concerns. So I'll defer to her, and then happy to ask after that.
Commissioner Grant,
if you had any, Commissioner Grant.
I thought there might be some questions from the community regarding the issue I will raise. So I was waiting for the community to perhaps ask the question, Mr. Dyer, about concerns about the lead.
Yes.
Yes, at the Parkview Recreation Center.
Yep.
I know this is on the outside of the premises, but a number of the neighbors around the park and who have children at Bruce Monroe
Yep.
School who play at the park have expressed concerns recently about lead exposure and the park having to be closed down as a result. And so I was wondering if you could address
Sure.
potential remediation efforts and what's going on there. Just noting that there was also a meeting prior to this ANC meeting with Bruce Monroe Elementary School on this issue. So some people
Right.
on the call might have attended that as well.
Right. So I can't get in beyond much more. Thank you for referring, and I knew this was going to come up. Thank you for referring to the call that happened about 30 minutes ago. What I can tell you from what DGS has said, that the lead found at the park recreation playground has been remediated. The district is committed to protecting the health and safety of DC children. To that end, we proactively test, communicate our findings, and fix issues where we find them. After earlier testing found lead at Parkview Recreation Playground, we closed the facility, cleaned it, retested it, and found it safe. And to go a step further, we are actively conducting additional assessments, not only of the playground surface, but of the surrounding areas. DC Water continues to monitor for any water irregularities, and we expect a full report in May that will help to determine what actions are required. So I can't really go beyond that statement, but I'm happy to direct any other questions, specific questions that residents might have, to John Stokes at the Department of General Services, who has offered to, take these questions. He is your best point of contact on that. And his email is john.stokes@dc.gov. You can also email me at christopher.dyer@dc.gov. So again, thank you for referring about the meeting that happened at 6. They're committed to answering questions and transparency, but that's all I have for you. And I can't go any further because I really don't know much more beyond that. And you're muted, Commissioner.
Commissioner Grant, did you have any follow-up to that?
Not at this
No.
time. I'll let Commissioner Howard and Jacobson take the floor.
Commissioner Howard?
Yeah, hi there. Chris, thanks for being here. I was hopeful we'd have a little more information than what was just read to us. But I look forward to reading the report. And if you could encourage, I think one of the questions the residents have is also where the source of this lead is coming from. And even when you look at the fountain there, it has not been retested in, I think, a decade. So I think that's some of the concerns that from residents are kind of alarming. And so
Yep.
You mentioned the report that's coming, and there's going to be steps on how to deal with it, moving forward. But I definitely would like more details and information about where the lead came from that caused the positive test now, because obviously I don't think we can remediate if we don't know the source of it. So I would encourage if you can pass along to the powers that be that that is there.
Sure.
And then I think secondly, obviously a lot of children use this playground, and I think a lot of community members have reported a lack of timely or transparent notifications following the 23 and 25 exposures. So I would love also the report to look at how better they can have a more a quicker and a more robust notification system for parents in the area who then can take the appropriate steps for their individual children should there have been exposure concerns.
Right. So I'll turn that back. If anyone wants to get added to a list to get NIXL alerts from DPR, we have a system in place that you can get on the list. In terms of the remediation on lead, feel free to send me your email addresses and I'll pass that on to DGS. I don't know what their protocol is, but I imagine it's similar to what we do. And we let the ANC commissioners know whenever there's a positive test. And I think that there is a list that we use to communicate that this is there. And in terms of your question specifically about the lead, if you can drop those in an email to me, I can then forward them to DGS so that they can provide an answer for your question.
Commissioner Footer, may I recommend that we send a joint ANC 1E letter with questions and talk to some of our constituents and then put forth a full kind of letter and then have reveal the results, share the results of that letter, our responses once we get them.
Absolutely. Commissioner Jacobson, I know your hand is up, but just on this line of questioning, Mr. Dyer, do you have any information about the things that have happened in the years past? I know Commissioner Howard has just mentioned that a similar incident in 2023. Can we ask you some questions about, like, specifically, how is this analysis going to be different than ones that have happened in the past to try to ensure that this is going to be the final time that the community has to deal with the lead issue at the park?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. That's a good question for DGS.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Hey, Mr. Dyer, thanks again for joining. Always great to hear from you.
Good to see you. You're slacking. I haven't gotten any problems from you in a while. I'm kidding, of course.
Well, I can make some problems if you'd like.
No, I'd love to. I'm sitting around just waiting. No, I appreciate it. It's good to see you, Commissioner.
This probably won't come as a surprise to you. I know we talked a little bit about this last year, but there were concerns during the summer around better alerting around the children's pool being opened at Banneker and parents waiting in a long line to get into Banneker to not be able to get into the children's pool. I understand that there are some challenges in addressing that, but just want to raise it again here and
Sure.
encourage some sort of solution, because I've heard a lot of frustration in the past about that.
Well, we've just done a big survey on the children's leisure pool because we were having some of the same concerns at Wilson, Tacoma, and what's the other one that's big in the interior? Tacoma and Rumsey. And so we've gotten some good feedback from the community. We're going to incorporate some of that feedback and see if there's a better way to message, including the Splash That page that provides a update on what's on what's closed. And also there might be some more consistently published times that the leisure pool is open, so that, people are not showing up at 7 o'clock at night expecting the leisure pool to be open. And, there might be some designated times. I don't know what the results are going to be. Also, to be honest, sometimes a closure of a leisure pool at Banneker is a very micro level sort of thing that we don't always find out in headquarters about until it's too late. So there are some challenges, but we're going to try to figure out how to do that the best we can.
I appreciate that.
No, because unfortunately, all our site managers, we don't have anyway. We could get into the details of it, but sometimes this happens. But we're going to try really hard, so we are programming so that it doesn't happen at the end. So,
thank you.
And people are always welcome to call Banneker Pool ahead of time before going if they want to check to see if the pool is open. The leisure pool is open. So, yeah,
that's fair. I didn't have any other questions, but thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer, I wanted to ask you about Casey Lewis. So we were very fortunate after a lot of advocacy to get $1.2 million in the budget in order to improve the Casey Lewis fields. We've been working a lot over the past year and trying to engage the community and prioritizing where some of that funding should be. And last we spoke around late December, they were putting together all the pieces for the RFP. Do you have any update on how things are going?
Nope,
timeline?
Not yet. Nope, no update. We're still in selection with DGS.
Okay.
So there's still procurement.
Okay. I'm sorry. Continue. What were you saying?
Yeah. So I don't have a date yet, but I know it's getting closer.
Okay. Since it's been about 4 months, is there something that's like a barrier that needs to be kind of looked at that we can try and like move this along?
Nope.
No.
Just time, patience, and time. These things take time to process through. And I know it's in the queue. I sit actually right behind the person who's the project manager for it. I know you guys are really, really eager and excited to go. There's also some questions about what DCPS is going to do with their site as well. So just patience. I know we're getting closer. And once we get the contractor on board, it becomes a lot more things move a little bit more quickly. But it's getting that contractor on board, sharing some design concepts with the community, and we look forward to robust community engagement. And Commissioner, I know that you will personally keep emailing us until we get it done. But no, in all seriousness, we have a lot of capital projects through the system. There's a lot of procurement that happens. We're just waiting for a contractor to be brought on board so we can begin the more robust planning. So, awesome. And we're excited. I mean, you guys really literally did a textbook version of how to get things into our capital budget. The work that you did is sort of like that in the pickleball community are examples I cite when other community members ask me, hey, why don't we have this playground fixed? We are not supposed to ask for money, but you guys did a great job in advocating. And as a result, we're almost there. Now,
thank you. I appreciate
God
that.
only knows what's going to happen in the next few months. No, I mean, it's in the capital budget. So all things are on go as far as we know. So more patience, please.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll make sure to keep following up. Second thing I wanted to ask you about was, as you just mentioned, summer is just around the corner. I hope everybody's been enjoying this fantastic weather. As you were mentioning, school's going to get out, and the summer programs are a really important program for young kids and kids from K through 12 to be able to have activities throughout the summer. Is there anything you can say about how it might be impacted by some of the forthcoming budget cuts? Is there anything that parents need to be aware of about enrollment or things of that nature?
No, summer camp is booked. We have no news about what's going to happen, what possibly could happen. The only thing I strongly encourage everyone to do, and please don't report me for a BEGA violation, is get on the phone with Congressperson Norton Holmes and get on the phone with your family members who live in other congressional districts and encourage them to go ask the House of Representatives to pass the $1 billion budget fix. We really don't know. I honestly don't know what could possibly happen, but there will be some sort of impact, obviously. And the best way to avoid it is by advocating for the Hill to get our friends in the Hill to fix the problem that they caused. So that's what I can share.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? All right. I'll turn to the community members. If you have any questions for DPR, please feel free to raise your hand. I will also note, as people are finding the button of how to raise their hand, Estelle McKinney from Councilmember Brianna Doe's office is with us. She will be speaking in just a little bit. She did text on the side and just let us know that she did participate in the DGS call and is happy to provide some insights from that call as well. So thank you, Ms. McKinney, for offering that.
That would be great.
I don't see any other questions from the community. So with that, Mr. Dyer, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, by the way, I also wanted to repeat, I know that you're wondering about Parkview Recreation Center. No one asked about it. Same thing, it's still in procurement. And so Commissioner Grant and Howard, we're looking forward to your leadership as we begin the robust engagement on how to modernize Parkview. So thank you all for your time. I am off to watch grown men try to beat each other with sticks. And again, seriously, I know I've said this several times, email, call. Commissioner Jacobson will be able to attest that I do respond. And I might not always have the answer you want, but I will at least try to get you an answer. So thanks for having me. I'll see you guys in a few months, and I hope you enjoy the summer. Bye.
Thank you very much. All right. Next, we will move on to PEPCO with Travers Culpepper. So I know that he's with us, but I don't see his name. So, oh, perfect. Thank you. So let's bring you up to promote as a panelist. And Mr. Culpepper, we just promoted you. There we go. And you are on mute. So, Mr. Culpepper, good to see you again.
It's so great to see you, Commissioner Footer, and all commissioners. Hi, Commissioner Brown, and thank you all very much for allowing me to come before you and share some information. So I know that Commissioner Footer, you reached out to me about a series of outages that took place, 2 last year and 1 earlier this month. And I wanted to just share that I did talk with our reliability team, and I spoke with a senior engineer that did some research and pretty much gave me information as to what the outages were. So the one that was on June 22nd was a result of a failed underground switch. And this is a piece of equipment that's in sort of like in the manholes. The crews were able to isolate that and restore all of the load in 324 minutes. And then they made permanent repairs a few days later. And then, just few weeks after that, I know that there was an outage July 1st, and there was a blown fuse from one of the transformers. We don't really know as to why this took place, but they did make those permanent repairs. And then the one that happened April 1st was as a result of a failed underground transformer. So the entire transformer needed to be replaced. So these pieces of equipment oftentimes do have a life cycle, and we monitor them and make, upgrades as necessary. These particular you know, outages occurred because the equipment just failed for one reason or another. But they did make all the necessary repairs, and we should not have any more outages, knock on wood. I have brought this particular feeder to the reliability team's attention just to monitor. And what I'm doing right now is we have a separate department that really we have what we call manhole inspections program where we go across the entire city and we inspect each manhole, all of the equipment that's on the inside. And that's done on a 10-year cycle. So they have a set of manholes that they do year after year, and they sort of kind of plan that out. And so just kind of finding out to see what the assessment was in this particular area on this particular feeder, and that does take time to research. So I can, come back once I have more information on that, but that request has been shared with the inspections team.
Before I hand it over to Commissioner Howard for just a moment, I'm sorry, I want to just clarify that team comes out and does it every like 10 years. Do you know when the last time that inspection was in that general area?
And that's exactly what I'm trying to find out.
Gotcha.
Exactly when that assessment was done, and then what were the findings. That it does take time to look through that because we're talking about one feeder, but that feeder is really really long. So I kind of try to get them to narrow down to the particular address that you shared with me, and so it just takes them a little bit of time. So I'll have to follow back up.
Awesome. And I do want to just give credit where credit is due. I just happened to send the email, but really this issue was brought to our attention from Commissioner Howard, and he was out there speaking to the PEPCO team and constituents about it. And so I'm going to kick it over to Commissioner Howard, who has his hand up. And Commissioner Howard, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And let me start off by saying kudos to your team there from PEPCO that night on April 1st. They were professionals. They were out there, and as all the neighbors came out to see when the power was going to be restored, they were very, very professional, very respectful, very kind. So kudos to your team.
Well, thank you very much for that.
The first question I have is, I've lived in this city 20 years and never had a power outage outside of a storm. And then we had 3 within 8 months of me in Parkview. And it just felt like that was a lot for one consistent like neighborhood experience. And these weren't just like hour-long power outages. I mean, some of them went the full day. So I just curious about, I appreciate you looking into it, but that just seemed like I just want to make sure there's not something in the neighborhood that we're missing that needs to be addressed so that residents don't lose power. And we have a lot of seniors that live, I think, in the area too, and that's always complicated for them. And one gentleman that lives 2 doors down from me had a 4-day-old baby and no power. So as you can imagine, that was problematic.
Right.
So I don't pretend you to have an answer here today on that, but that's something I'd really like to look at is why this neighborhood, and it's Manor and Park Place is where I live, and I think that the outage was really along Manor and Warder and Park Place was like those 3 streets, and it was a very limited outage, but that's the third limited outage we've experienced in that area. So I'd love for you to investigate that a little further. And then my second question is, in talking to the gentleman, they could not get underground. They assumed it was the transformer. They were correct. But they could not get underground because there's a steel plate that had to be moved, and they had to call a facilitator to come and remove that. And it's my understanding, based on my own research and talking, that is something PEPCO used to do, but has now outsourced it to contractors. And then when they did show up, there was like 15 people associated that showed up with that contracting company to move one steel plate. And so it seemed to overkill. And I'm just curious, like, in terms of, when you look at contractors' allocation of resources, could you have a thinner group and therefore respond quicker to things? Because that was a big part of the delay, was that Pepco was there. They could have got under very quickly. They didn't have the capacity or the safety mechanism to remove a huge steel plate that I believe was even asphalted in. So you have to kind of drill the plate out. And so that, I think, was the main contributor to the delay there, is my understanding. And so I just want to hear, also have y'all look at that. If you don't have any questions on that today, but look at that, and maybe if we, I understand you can't reduce outages completely, but we can certainly reduce response times, hopefully. And this was I think the power outage hit at like 6 p.m. So it was after hours, but I'm assuming y'all are always prepared for after hours outages. That's all I wanted to say. And thank you for coming today. I really appreciate you all being very quick in getting us information and response times. And I will say the restoration time estimate was like spot on from the beginning. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for your feedback. And I do actually have share your concern as far as just getting more information as to w- you know, um, we have, I know the information as to what has happened, but what I do want to take it a step further to see when the last time that these particular manholes in this area were assessed, and then if they're, depending on what I find, what are the plans to reassess. So that's something that I'm looking at, and I have had conversations with the reliability team and the manhole inspections team to get that information. It just does take a little bit more time for them to sort of turn that around, because there's so many manholes, and they sort of have to narrow it down, and there's like a whole process that they go through in order to find out specific information like that. So I'm happy to come back and talk about that, and thank you for sharing the feedback as far as with the response time. And so what it sounded like was that there was already work that was occurring in the area from the contractor. And what happens is, when we have contractors that are doing work, we sort of put all the responsibility on them. So if there's something that needs to be removed, let's say it is a steel plate, it is a responsibility just contractually for that contractor to remove that transformer, and if there are any repairs that need to be made specific to the work that they're doing, it's contractually it's the obligation of that contractor to make any repairs, or to do to basically responsibility of that job. Now, to your point, what we are
Sorry to
looking at.
interrupt. Who oversees those contractors? Are they Pepco contractors? Are they city at large, or is there a certain department? I'm just curious.
There's a certain department within Pepco, and it's our operations team that oversees the contractors. But what we are looking to do is to sort of bring some of that work back to Pepco and not outsource a lot of it. So that is something that actually we are looking to do, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot, sort of bringing those that type of work that you're just saying, so that our response times can be, not as long. So that is something that we are doing, and you'll start to, and hopefully we'll implement that sometime next year, from my understanding. So that is something that is being addressed at Pepco.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were about to say something else.
No, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, so I think whatever you find out, if you'll let us know, we'll certainly pass along to our constituents. I would encourage you to pass along to your customers. But thank you for being here today. I look forward to your responses.
Okay, thank you. And I'll share the responses to specifically what I found through via email, so that you guys can have that. But I will follow back up to see when that assessment was done, and if in fact an assessment needs to take place.
Great, thank you, sir.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, other questions? All right. I'll now turn to members of the community. If you have any questions for Pepco, please feel free to raise your hand. I do see that we have one person, so I'm going to promote you to panelist. And Romeo Morgan, I just promoted you to panelist. Hey, Romeo, do you have a question for Pepco? If you are speaking, you're on mute.
Yes, I have one question pertaining to Pepco. I see that you all are doing a lot of repaving with your in the ground. We all have these putting in new transformers and cutting the concrete to put even larger and more transformers in the ground. One of the issues that I have with it, especially at my property at 3200 Georgia Avenue, the contractor did an excellent job what they did with putting it in, but the concrete slabs they have there over top of the manholes, they're like a teeter saw. If you walk on it, it leans left. Walk on it, leans right. You don't have a
Okay.
stability with that. Also, the when they put it in there, it's not even. And what's happening is I noticed that in several places that with Fort Myers, who's been doing the construction work for you all, that when they're not even like that, people can trip and fall. So I was just wondering, do you all have any inspectors that's going out and inspecting these things after they're doing that to make sure that they're up to compliance and that they're not a hazard to the community?
That is, and that's interesting. You're saying that these are manholes in the sidewalk?
Yes, the large concrete ones they're putting in.
Yes, I will have to follow back up on that because I know that there's a lot of street light work that's taking place as well. And so you have to really look at those manholes. And if it's a Pepco manhole, it will say Pepco, but if it's a street light, it'll have a manhole cover that says S/L. And so I know that we've had issues in the past where people have confused the street light covers for manhole covers, and they're usually a lot of times in the sidewalk. So I can, what block was that on Georgia Avenue? I can
Again,
find out.
we're not talking about the manhole covers. We're talking about the units where they put the transformers in the ground. They are redoing those, and it used to be the iron grates that used to be across there, which allowed the transformers to breathe. What they
Okay.
what they what they comment did, they put solid concrete slabs over top of it and widened it to add more transformers underground right there. But the problem is there's several places I've seen where Fort Myers have done the work, and like I said, the concrete slabs they have on them are teeter-tottering, and not only that teeter-tottering, but they're not even with the concrete, so therefore people can easily trip over them.
What block is that?
Well, I know where my place right there, 3200 Georgia Avenue, right there on the corner of Georgia and Kenyon. They just did that one about 6 months to a year ago.
Okay. I can find out, and I'll look into that to see what's what on that. Um, and then I guess I can follow back up with the commission with an answer on that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Any other questions from members of the community? All righty.
Commissioner,
Seeing none.
before I go, I did want to
Yes.
just follow up because I sent an email to the ANCs for a Pepco Energy Security Education webinar, which will take place May 2nd, May 12th, from 6:30 to 7:30, and this is specifically for ANC commissioners. And just wanted to make sure that to raise that to your attention. We do want your participation. It does relate to increases in customer bills. So just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
Gotcha. I just took a quick search for it and I see it. You sent it on Wednesday, April 16th. Commissioners, they sent it around 6 p.m. So it's in our inbox. And yeah, Monday, May 12th from 6:30 to 7:30. Great. Thank you so much for reminding us of the invitation.
Okay, no, thank you so much.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Looking forward to coming back.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to share our agenda again. All right. So next we will move to commissioners. Commissioners, any announcements? If so, please raise your hand. All right, I have one quick one. I just wanted to give an update. This last Friday, I participated in MPD and Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice's community walk down U Street. Started at 9 p.m. It was a really, really great opportunity for us to talk through some of the things that we were seeing. There were a number of restaurant and other business owners that were there, and a number of community members that were there. There were a number of agencies that were also there, and we addressed a variety of different issues and really got to see how it was really impacting the community. The deputy mayor was there, and so was Commander Pullum, along with a lot of different enforcement agencies. But it was a very eye-opening experience. One of the two kind of key takeaways that I had that I want to share is how the street closures have been had had a strikingly negative impact on our business community on U Street. And I really commend Commander Pullum for implementing a new agile approach of starting small and then increasing as needed, as they are consistently keeping an eye on how things are going on, particularly over the weekend hours. With that, we're hopeful that it will continue to make a more balanced approach and help support everybody who wants to live in the area and have their business in the area. But there is a lot more work to do. One of the great people in the community who's been such a chief advocate in making this happen, Gene from 930 Club, has been organized this particular one, and will continue to make sure that we're hearing from our business community, which is very, very important. And there's a lot of follow-up that will be coming from that meeting. And if other commissioners are interested in doing something similar in their area, please let me know. This was extremely, extremely helpful, and having the agencies come and do it, particularly in the hours where you're seeing the most conflict, if you will, or disruption, is just a very important thing to be able to show the agencies and let them address it right then and there. So that is all I wanted to provide. Commissioner Brown.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Chair Footer. I wanted to provide, and well, I don't know if you wanted to ask the community for questions, because I was going to just shift over to my update.
No, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to provide an update on the Bruce Monroe project and current maintenance issues that's happening at the temporary park. I've been speaking with a couple of community members about this, but I've been working with the Department of Parks and Recreation on some of the upcoming activities related to the redevelopment. I know that there was a timeline that was shared earlier or the previous year on potentially community engagement activities and construction timeline, but it is significantly off. Reason for that is we needed to receive congressional approval of the land disposition agreement, and that was done in March. And we've been working on a timeline from there with DPR. So the community engagement plan still needs approval from the agency, and we'll just share more details about that once activities roll out, and their plan to address that with the community and the timeline that will match. On the temporary park, I've received complaints about the faucet, the water fountain overflowing and creating a water leak. And I've went out to the park earlier this week and today just to see what the issues are. And I'm aware, as well as Councilmember Nadeau's office, as well as the Department of General Services. So that issue has been reported, and we'll expeditiously work on addressing that issue. So I just wanted to share those updates with the community.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any other announcements? All right. Next we will move on to Estelle McKinney with Councilmember Brianna Nadeau's office. And Estelle, we just promoted you. Hi, Estelle.
Hi, good evening, everyone. For folks who don't know, I'm Estelle. I'm Councilmember Nadeau's Director of Constituent Services, and I'm just going to share a few updates with you all. So April is Earth Month, and in honor of Earth Month and Earth Day, we've got about 10 cleanups happening across Ward 1 and 2 in ANC 1E this Saturday morning, April 26th. Everyone is welcome. Just show up at the designated time and meeting point, and the cleanup leaders should provide gloves and supplies. But if you have your own gloves or trash pickers, please bring those as well, because the Mayor's Office of Clean City will be distributing those pickers and supplies and bags. But I know that they have a lot of cleanups happening, so if any you all have any as well to bring, the more the merrier. So these cleanups usually last about 1 to 2 hours and are great to bring your kids along as well. I know Councilmember Nadeau has brought her daughters along to a few. And I'll share the details, times, and locations for all of them, so you all can distribute it and pick which one you want to go to. And this year's cleanups have a special focus on beverage bottles and cans, supporting our push for district bottle deposit program to reduce waste in our neighborhoods and waterways. Second, I'd like to share an update on the Parkview Rec Center environmental testing update. So like was mentioned, I was in the DGS community meeting. So some updates. So on April 10th, DGS notified the community that routine testing had uncovered lead areas at the playground and subsequently closed the park for cleaning. And so we've heard from DGS and the contractors that they're working with to do the testing. And so that testing and environmental assessment are underway to identify the source. So that's one big key area that they're trying to identify the source in this testing. And they're conducting some wipe sampling, surface testing, focusing on areas where children are most likely to touch, as well as all painted areas like equipment and stuff. And I know that was also asked about the water fountains. So DC Water will be testing the water, but DGS will be specifically testing the fountain itself. And these results will be compared to a standard set by the EPA of 10 micrograms of standard of lead, and are expected to be released in a report next month. And then also, as Mr. Dyer mentioned, there is funding for Parkview Rec Center to undergo a modernization project. And this is out for a bid right now, and submissions I saw are due in 15 days. So that will be closing shortly, and hopefully we'll get more information underway on that. And then, so moving on to some legislative topics. So on April 10th, Councilmember Nadeau introduced the Common Sense TOPA Reform Amendment Act. And so TOPA, a little background, has protected tenants' rights since 1980, but it's currently under threat from proposals to carve out some exceptions to TOPA. And Councilmember's bill aims to modernize and streamline the process and speed up transaction timelines, and will hold bad actors accountable and give tenants earlier access to information and support. And this is seen as a more of a balanced approach that respects both tenants' rights and how investment in housing and affordable housing in our community. So this bill is currently with the Housing Committee, and Chairman Robert White has committed to hold a hearing, and we hope to have it happen next month. Secondly is the single staircase legislation. So Councilmember recently introduced this month a bill to remove the outdated requirement for 2 staircases in new residential buildings under 6 stories. So this will make it easier, more cost effective to build larger and more affordable units, especially for families. And studies show that modern single staircase designs are safe, thanks to advances in safety standards, and has been implemented in very large cities across the US. And this change applies only to new buildings, so existing ones wouldn't be affected, and as well as the elevator requirements would remain unchanged. Lastly, a little budget update. I know we're anxiously awaiting movement on this, but has been movement from the House on the federal side to fix the DC's budget yet, and subsequently, we're facing potential cuts of up to $1.1 billion, even though these are our funds, district funds, not federal. But one piece of good news is there appears to be a legal workaround where DC can invoke a 2009 law allowing the city to increase spending by 6%, therefore shrinking the shortfall from $1 billion to a little over $4 million. So it's still serious, but a little less devastating. And we're waiting on the mayor to submit a revised fiscal year 25 budget and then the fiscal year 26 budget. So more to come on that. We're expecting it hopefully soon, but yes. So, and lastly, next, Brianne, on your block, office hours, which is a great opportunity coming one-on-one with council member Nadeau and ask any questions or share any feedback. And this will be May 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday at Right Proper Brewing at 6 and T. And that's it for me.
Great. Thank you so much. Commissioner Howard.
Hi there, Estelle. Thank you. I appreciate you briefing us today. Going back to the Parkview Rec Center, my question is, we talk about the rehabilitation and remodeling of Parkview Rec Center. I'm guessing that does not include any lead remediation efforts that maybe result once we find. And thank you to the councilwoman for pushing them to find the origin of this as well. I'm just kind of curious if we can encourage the councilwoman and your team to really do what it takes to remediate this problem, if it's remediable, if that's a word, if we can remediate this. Probably a large part of it's probably lead paint around the houses in the area. So, remediation may involve, homeowners and property owners and such, but there's got to be a way to deal with this, because I think the safety of our kids has got to be tantamount to everything else. So just wanted to flag that for you, and just there may be an issue where we need some funding to deal with it, but we won't know yet, obviously. But just thank you for what you're doing there. If you'll pass along that, I think this is something Parkview Rec Center is treasured. It's valuable to people in the community, and just want to make sure we keep it safe.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. And I know our office agrees as well. And I think we're very curious to see what the report shares. And yes, and I think it aligns with, what hopefully when a bid is selected, that can help inform the changes that need to be made at Parkview Rec Center.
All right, commissioners, any other questions? All right, I see that we have a question from community members, so I'm going to pull Romeo back up to the panel. And Romeo, you should have just received an invite to join the panel. All right, he may have stepped away. Here, he raises his hand one more time. We'll try him one more time. All right, Romeo, I see you now. You're on mute. Romeo, if you can hear us, you're currently on mute.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Okay. The question is for Councilman Brianna Nadeau's office. I've been fighting around with Darren Jones from Pleasant Plains Civic Association, which is a dire issue that we have that's affecting our seniors and our disabled veterans for Ward 1. Darren Jones has been reaching out to you all, and the fact of them discontinuing the buses from going to Washington Hospital Center and BA Circle, which we're trying to figure out. And I've talked to Rashida Brown pertaining to this, as well as conference call in with Darren Jones pertaining to this matter. I've got a call back from Ward 5 council member's office, and they're saying that the only ones that's being affected is the one in Ward 1, which is Brianna Doe's ward. So it will be basically the future will be the 661 route, which is replacing the H2, H4, which no longer takes riders to the way of the front door of the Washington Hospital Center or VA. I don't understand how Brianna Doe's office can accept this from happening. This is supposed to take place July 1st. And I'm asking the ANC commissioner, my ANC commissioners, to get in touch with WMATA to find out why they're choosing just only Ward 1, H1, and H2 buses to turn around that facilitates our seniors in this ward, and why isn't the Brianna Doe's office responding to Darren Jones' request to find out what's happening? This is going to be taking place on July 1st, which is an urgency because July 1st is right around the corner. And you mean tell me that they want our seniors to walk from First Street up to the hospital? Our VA vets who will have amputees and in wheelchairs, they have to roll or walk up the street? No, I think this is very.
Mr. Morgan, thank you. Appreciate your passion. It's a very good question. But Ms. McKinney, do you want to respond?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for again bringing this to our attention. Yes, we did get the letter from Mr. Jones and we forwarded it to WMATA. So WMATA has been made aware too, and we're hoping to have a follow-up conversation with them shortly about this as well and express the similar concerns with you.
Commissioner Brown?
My issue is the fact that we're talking about July 1st. It's not a matter of waiting for WMATA. I mean, July 1st is right around the corners. Do you all really expect our seniors to turn around and have to deal with this situation? Our VA vets, I'm a veteran.
So, Mr. Morgan, did you have a follow-up question specifically for Ms. McKinney that you want to ask her? I mean, I believe she's articulating that she's going to get back in touch with you and she's getting in touch with the people who are responsible for it. But is there something more that you really want to hear?
No, that's nothing else I really need to hear.
Okay. Commissioner Brown?
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much, Romeo, for your concern and for our seniors. And thank you, Estelle McKenney, for sharing that update. I'm going to share a link to the WMATA Better Bus Network redesign because what Romeo is talking about is in my single member district. And I did chat with both Councilmember Nadeau's office, Councilmember Parker's office, and WMATA about this. But it is essentially just streamlining the bus system. So the changes that's happening in July will just rename the H-Line bus to another name. It will go through the Washington Hospital Centers. There won't be any changes there. That bus stop will not go away. But there are, as a part of the WMATA Better Bus Network, a consolidation of certain bus stops that's happening. We know that in my single member district, that just involves Irving Street and Park Place is going to be consolidated to Irving Street and Water. So I just wanted to, for the record, state that, put that out there. Would love for Estelle for you to share more details. Maybe we can share that in our newsletter that will go out. And I've been talking with Darren to make sure that he has the necessary information to share that with the seniors, because I don't know where the disconnect is, but service line will continue to the Washington Hospital Centers, and I'll put that information in the chat.
Okay, well, maybe you need to talk with Darren about this because, like I said, council member from Ward 5 called us today a matter of 4 hours ago, and they said, and what was said exactly verbatim was that they were cutting out the H2, H1, H2, which would be the 661, and that's only a shuttle bus. Well, basically, they're saying to go over to there, but it would not be going to Washington Hospital Center. So, I mean, if you get a chance, Rashida, can you touch with Darren, get in touch with Darren, because this is a matter of, again, this is a matter of 4 hours ago we had this conversation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Any other questions for Ms. McKinney? All right. Seeing none. Estelle, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Awesome. And Commissioner Jacobson, if you don't mind helping me out, for some reason I'm having a hard time helping Mr. Morgan get back to the thank you. All right, so next we will go to the mayor's office, Mokers. So Anthony Robertson, pull you up to panelist. Anthony, how you doing? If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Thank y'all for having me. I have a few updates. Commissioner Fuller touched on one of them, the walk with my colleague, Ms. Stephanie Avalinka did the other night on U Street. That was definitely a great walk. We also conducted a walk in 100 block of Otis, where the shooting took place. Commissioner Grant joined us on that walk. And so there was a few things that came out of that walk. One, I don't know if y'all noticed, but the lighting was increased right there in the middle of that block. So DDOT did do that. And we also identified, well, I don't say identified, but this brought to the community's attention. If you see something, say something for just making sure that we're all, you know what I'm saying, we're all got our eyes out. And another thing that was brought up in there was that there was a thought that a lot of people was hanging, bad actors was hanging at the Parkview. So Earl Davis stepped in with that, that, you know what I'm saying, the kids you see up there is his kids. He doesn't allow anybody up there that is causing any trouble or is just out there doing something wrong. He's going to call the police and make sure that they come. So that's the update for the 700 block. I don't have any specific information about the shooting itself, but this was the outcome of what happened that day. And we also had a cleanup in the ward this Saturday just passed, the annual 8th spring cleanup for the mayor's office. It was very successful. We had a lot of people come out and clean up the ward. We went out to different parts of the ward. And I wanted to be able to share with the community, just to reiterate the importance of Alert DC and using that app and making sure that they put that on your phones. It gives you updates, real-time updates of what's going on in the city, as well as making sure that everyone has the 311 app downloaded, and it's very useful and it's very helpful. So like it's not too many other things. We have been keeping an eye on the illegal dumping. That has been one of our focuses. Also, we're focusing on this graffiti that has been on Georgia Avenue. We've been passing out a lot of graffiti waiver forms. And we encourage all the community members and the commissioners, if y'all have anything that it needs to be escalated or that needs to be brought to our attention, is illegal dumping, please reach out. I'm pretty sure y'all know that I'm very responsive when it comes to getting on top of these things. That's pretty much it. Complicated but simple. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Grant, I saw you come off mute. Did you have something?
No,
No,
I just wanted to thank Anthony for the update on the walk and for also attending. It was a very good walk. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, if no commissioners have any questions, I'll turn to the community. Members of the community, if you have any questions for the mayor's office of Community Relations and Services, otherwise as Mokers, please raise your hand. I see Romeo has his hand up. Romeo, I'm going to promote you to panelist.
Hello?
All right. Yep.
Hi. Okay. Hey, Anthony, how you doing? We had a very wonderful meeting the other day.
Yes,
I
sir.
do and thank you for everything, your assistance with, especially with trying to deal with this senior situation that I'm dealing with as far as the bus stop. I'm also want to know if there's any way possible. Well, my organization, the Georgia Avenue Business Alliance, we will go to all the small businesses and have them sign the graffiti waivers. My health has not been allowing me to do that this last couple of years, being paralyzed and just now learning how to walk all over again. But I do appreciate you all taking a step out and doing that for some of the Georgia Avenue, which helps me out a lot. But how can we work together and try to get the business owners who do have cameras around and try to see how we can get footage for this, as well as I've been meeting with council members at large, as well as other council members, trying to put in a new law and legislation to make it so that it's a $10,000 fine if you caught putting graffiti in the District of Columbia. 1,000 hours of community service. If you don't do the community services, then we also will give you 1 year in jail. After meeting with Robert White's office 2 days ago, these some of the things that we talked about. Well, what if
Mr. Morgan, I'm so sorry. I'm going to cut you off right there. I apologize, but we're starting to get dragged into a lot of extra time, and we haven't even gotten to our official business yet. So, do you have a question?
The question is how is it that we can get the businesses that are working with who has cameras, and when there's graffiti being put up, how can we work together to try to find a better way to get the businesses to give up the videos or showing who's putting the graffiti on Georgia Avenue corridor as well as at the District of Columbia?
Thank you. Anthony?
Okay, so I'm trying to untangle this one here. So anything dealing with the legislation that would be the council members holds the purse. So like the legislation, that would be something that would have to be dealt with through the council. Now the MPD, they can work with the business owners. They can't make them do it, but they can work with them. And Commander Pulliam has been great with that. So has Levenhouse. They've been great with just working with the community to get them to sign up for the program to be able to share that information. But you can't right now. You can't make nobody see their cameras. But we definitely can work together, and we don't have no problem going out just talking and sharing the information, sharing how useful it would be. And I'll be happy to be out there doing that with you, Mr. Morgan, to share that. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Any other questions from the community? All right, hearing none. Mr. Morgan, stay here with us for just a moment because I know you had a question and we're about to turn to the community members. But before we turn to you, Anthony, thank you so much for your time this evening. Appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank y'all so much. And thank you for everything y'all do, commissioners.
All right, so we are going to turn to community members. If you have any announcements or comments, please feel free to raise your hand. Romeo, I know that you had said at the very beginning that you had a comment that you wanted to address, and so I'm going to call on you first. Did you have something still that you wanted to talk about, or was it addressed through some of the questions prior?
No, yes. One of the questions I've been trying to reach, I guess, and Rashida's been trying to assist me with reaching my ANC commissioner. I have a gentleman who's looking at leasing some space at my property at 3200 Georgia Avenue, and he's interested in putting a liquor store there. I've been trying to reach my ANC commissioner, left several messages that I've not heard from my ANC commissioner. I need, basically what I'm asking for is a letter from the ANC for assistance, so that I don't want to have the person sign a lease for my property and then turn around and the ANC says, "Hey, listen, no." So I've talked to Kent Bass, and Kent Bass told me to reach out to you all, and he said that because I talked to Abra, and Abra says yes, I can go to the ANC and get a letter of support from you all. And that's all I'm asking for is a letter of support for this business owner to try to turn around and be able to put a upscale liquor store right there on my property. I'm not sure if my realtor, if she's still there on the phone, because she's also supposed to be in on this hearing listening on this hearing also, and she could give you more and more information about the person that's trying to lease the property from me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Morgan. You and I had spoken earlier this month, and I had mentioned I gave your contact information to your ANC. I spoke with her today, and I don't want to divulge too much because it's personal information, but unfortunately, she's been dealing with a number of issues that is taking her time away, and so I'm stepping in to help her. It sounds like you've already spoken with Commissioner Brown, so I'll make sure to coordinate with her too. But I know that you had reached out to ABCA and Kent Bowes, and I spoke to both of them today as well. I want to make sure that we're very clear on what the process is here. First, absolutely, we would love to talk to anyone who's interested in opening a business along the Georgia Avenue corridor, anywhere in 1E. We can start talking about what are some of the important things that the community is concerned with, what's the process that we typically go through, maybe even start looking at what would go into a community settlement agreement if that's the route that we need to go in. But as I mentioned to you before, and again, I just want to be clear, the ANC doesn't take action on anything until there's something to take action on, meaning they have to put in an application so that we see exactly what you're actually asking for, and then we can actually take action. Without that, it's premature for us to do anything official, but we can talk as much as you would like.
Right, and I talked to Abra, and Abra is basically telling me that if I can get a letter get a letter from the ANC and support, it helps the person who's trying to lease my property. You don't have to have an application in. This is what Abra is telling me. And I also talked to Kent Base around 12 o'clock today, who reassured me. He said, if there's any questions, to have you all contact him, because yes, you can give me a letter of support for this.
And if an individual commissioner wants to, provide some sort of personalized support that they are interested in, something like that. But as far as the ANC taking an official action towards endorsing this business or its liquor license, that's not something we can do until there's an application to actually take action on. I do just want to be clear. I spoke to Kent Bowes today as well, and I spoke to the community relations representative and liaison from ABCA, and they both said that they're happy to talk to you again to make sure that it's very clear that no official action can take place from the ANC until an application has gone forth. So I will put you back in touch with them if you would like, if that would help to clarify, or we can even schedule a call to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Right, and that'll help, because from my understanding is that the individual who's trying to lease the property already has a liquor license. So it's not a new liquor license. He already has a liquor license.
Well, that's a different story then.
Right.
Well, then,
but that's why I was trying to reach out to my ANC commissioner to let them know that.
Okay, so let's. I have your phone number. I spoke with your ANC commissioner today, and she's in need of some support. So I'm going to step in and I'm going to help out. And so I left you a voicemail earlier today. I'll reach back out to you again tomorrow, and let's try and find some time, and we can discuss further.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Members of the community, are there any other announcements? All right, seeing none, we will now move on to official business. The committee chairs will begin by providing a brief update on their committee's activities from April. Then we will walk through each item of business, and they will have 5 minutes per item to present. They'll take questions from commissioners and audience members until a motion is proposed. We are going to start in a little bit of a different order tonight, and we're going to go to Zoning and Economic Development Committee with Mr. Ray. Let's promote Mr. Ray. All right, Mr. Ray, welcome. Hello.
Good evening. Thank you. And thank you for moving things around for time-wise. We are literally just on. It's fine. It's all good. We're all good. And I'll say, since I know liquor licenses eventually come to this committee, I'm happy to work with you on this, and with Romeo, who knows me, we've met several times. So, be as helpful as I can be. In the meantime, the Economic and Zoning and Economic Development Committee did meet this past month, and we mostly had presentations. The ANC, as evidenced by the fact that it's not on the agenda, will not be taking any official action on any of those presentations until later on, likely next month. But the first was a presentation on 3121 Warder Street, and they have an application with the BZA in order to convert a single family home into 3 units. And so they presented on their plans and heard from the community. And we'll be moving forward with that one probably next month, a little closer to their date. So if people are curious about 3121, they still have some time to either get in touch with their commissioner, look at the plans, or talk to the homeowner about what they plan to do. But the recommendation from the committee thus far is that this is a pretty straightforward conversion case, and will likely move forward next month without issue. There was also then a presentation from Howard University regarding the parking lots along Sherman Avenue. They intend to use those parking lots for temporary space for classroom space. This will allow them then to work on the buildings, I believe the physics building and another couple of buildings on the main campus that are in desperate need of some renovations. There was quite a lengthy discussion, and they are going to revisit this again on a future meeting. The 2 particular issues that they're working on are language that could be included in the order around how better to screen, i.e., what kind of visually could be used to better screen those parking lots and the single-story buildings that will be on them while it's used as this temporary space. And then also, these parking lots are part of the master plan to become student housing. This is something that the community has been working with Howard University on for quite a long time. They would like to see that student housing move along because it allows students to live on campus and not have to commute from further away. And so working on language to make sure that this space can remain sort of on track to become student housing in the hopefully not too distant future. But this temporary space use would be used primarily while the university is working on not only the financing, but the permits that are necessary to build those spaces. So those are the presentations. Future action will again happen at a future meeting. But that's the sort of thing that we work on. There will be, I'm sorry, I should stop there just in case. Were there any questions about that?
Commissioner Jacobson.
Hey, Michael. Question about the parking lot and the temporary use. I guess what's the concern with screening them? Because the parking lot isn't very pretty either, so I'm not really sure that screening it really matters.
Well, that's just it. It's an attempt to both visually make it look a little more appealing from the street level, so that when you're looking in and at it, that it'll have some kind of the fencing itself would have some sort of banners that kind of act as a placemaking, so that you know that what you're looking at is these temporary buildings that are there. Some of them are there now. There'll be more of them. Is to make them a little more visually appealing and to sort of give you the concept that I'm looking at Howard University. This is Howard going on back there. An education of students is going on back there, instead of it looking like, if I dare say, a somewhat more industrial use that the 1-story buildings kind of give off. So they would work with their Department of Fine Arts and the Department of Architecture to come up with something that would be more visually appealing.
Okay, so this is something Howard wants to do. Okay.
Oh yeah. They don't have any problem. They like the idea.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. They're just working on what language would they include in an order that they could live with. Anyone else?
Thank you. That's it.
Oh, no problem. There will be a future meeting this coming month, or I guess it would be technically next month. The addresses of the future cases are 725 Hobart Street and 2928 Georgia Avenue. The 725 is includes the variance, so those can be a little more involved, and people might be interested in that one. And 2928 is It's technically a fast food use. It is the former site of the New Vegan, I believe it was the New Vegan restaurant. It'll still be a restaurant, but it'll be a fast casual type of restaurant. And because of that type, it requires some additional review. So people can come and hear about what is planned for that space in the future. But that is what the committee will be working on, and perhaps on liquor licenses as well.
Great.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any other questions? All right, members of the public, any questions for the Zoning and Economic Development Committee? All right, seeing none. Mr. Ray, thank you very much as always.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You as well. All right, next we will move to Commissioner Jacobson for Transportation and Public Space Committee.
Thank you, Chair Footer. Good evening, everyone. For the Transportation and Public Spaces Committee this month, we talked about 2 potential resolutions, and then there's a third that Chair Footer has been working on. There's one related to fiscal year 2026 budget requests. We're also working through a resolution on the Strategic Parking Enforcement Enhancement Act of 2025. I think that's the right title. Something that we'll be working on over the next couple of months while budget season is ongoing. So if you have any feedback on how you want parking enforcement to be improved in the district, please feel free to reach out to me or join our upcoming committee meeting. Otherwise, we can talk about the 2 resolutions that are on the agenda for tonight. Do you want to talk about the dog park first, Commissioner or Chair Footer?
Sure. Is the resolution showing, or can you see it now?
Yes.
Great. So basically, a number of community members have come together in order to propose a dog park at Banneker. I'm going to just scroll down for a moment and just show you exactly where it is. So the idea here is that there would be a dog park in the southeast corner. This is already widely used by a lot of people to walk their dogs and things of that nature. It's a pretty open space. We started this effort last summer, and we're advised that there was another application in the very close proximity that was making its way through. And so it was suggested that we wait and see how that one had gone through before we continue to push with this in order to try and make sure that we weren't kind of encroaching on each other. In about a month ago, the DPR had written back and passed their judgment on 625 T Street, and the determination letter, they denied the application for their dog park, but specifically cited that the Banneker location would be a very good location for a dog park. And so with that, it revitalized our efforts. We quickly got together with the 625 T Street organizers and just wanted to make sure that we were reading it correctly, get their support, all that. We did. We spoke with DPR and were able to basically confirm that they've already gone through an the DOEE, Department of Energy and Environment, has already conducted their survey. It's been pre-reviewed, or it's been reviewed pre-approved, I should say, by the DPR kind of dog park person. And the really interesting thing is that the review committee, since they cited it in their determination letter for a different application, we've been advised that we can skip that and go directly to the director. So this is phenomenal. The next step in the process is that the ANC passes a resolution in support, and because it is in our ANC, and then we get at a minimum of 50 signatures. We're hoping to go to about 100, and then we submit the application, and it'll go directly to the director of DPR. It does not come with funding. It just means that DPR has actually cited this as an approved location. The next phase of getting this approval will be to advocate for funding to actually install a dog park. One of the important things that we're advocating for is that we do not, we have as much minimal disruption to the current space as possible, because it does have these beautiful trees. It has natural grass. It's on a hill, so there's good runoff opportunities, things of that nature. So it doesn't need a lot of effort. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to maintain the current structure and its beauty and just add some additional pieces to enable a dog park. So this is a resolution just supporting the effort. Any questions? Commissioner Brown.
So is this a resolution that will accompany the application, or is this a resolution that just kind of supports the effort for the petitions to go around? And I'm just trying to make sure that I know like where this resolution is going and what it will do.
Yes, it's part of the application. The application can't be submitted without a letter of support from the ANC.
Okay.
Okay, there are no questions. Members of the community, any questions with respect to the resolution supporting a dog park at Banneker?
And I just wanted to thank you for putting this together.
Anytime. All right, with no other questions, commissioners, if there are no other questions, then I'll now accept a motion to support the resolution supporting a dog park at Banneker.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
Right, is there any dissent? All right, hearing none, motion passes and the resolution is adopted. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, Commissioner Jacobson, you want me to go to the next resolution?
Yep, it's pretty straightforward. The Transportation and Public Spaces Committee identified 3 areas that we want to make sure we don't have any funding issues given the challenges with the budget for this year and for budgeting for future years. So those 3 things are things that this body has supported in the past. There's the Georgia Avenue bus priority project that we've voted twice in favor of. There's the Columbia Heights Crosstown bus priority project that we voted twice in favor of. And there is the park that will be at the Bruce Monroe site that we voted in favor of as part of the disposition vote in February of 2024. So that's the first few whereas clauses. The remaining are just calling out that these infrastructure investments are important to our sustainability goals. Any delays or cancellations could threaten those goals and disproportionately impact folks that are using the bus. And we think these are important investments for the Georgia Avenue corridor and are important to ANC 1E. So we just want to make sure that the council and DDOT are still planning to fully fund those items. Any questions, comments, concerns?
There are no questions, commissioners. Members of the public, any questions or comments with respect to, I'm going to call this testimony, Commissioner Jacobson, because you're going to offer this up as testimony during budget hearings, correct?
We still don't know when the budget hearings will be, but
right, yeah.
Theoretically,
yeah, yes. If there are any comments from the community, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none. If there are no questions, I'll now take a motion or accept a motion to support the resolution.
I'll make a motion with the unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
All right, is there any dissent? All right, hearing none, motion passes and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you for your support, commissioners. That is it for the committee. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, May 7th. Yes, that's the first Wednesday in May.
All right. Thank you very much. Next, we go to Public Safety and Engagement Committee with Commissioner Newland. Commissioner Newland, I knew you weren't at the last meeting, so I'm happy to support you and so we did meet and use it as an opportunity to organize around Commissioner Grant's great idea of having and facilitating a dialogue, distribution of resources, a variety of different things around public safety throughout ANC 1E. I'm actually going to stop talking. Commissioner Grant, if you want to provide an update, this is your fantastic idea and you're driving this effort, so please.
Oh my goodness, sure. Happy to. So we met to discuss just basically details of the event. Right now we're calling it a roundtable, and we discussed potential stakeholders that we would invite, and it's actually quite a large range of agency stakeholders, members of civil society or NGO organizations that participate in the event. We're envisioning something like it's kind of like a bazaar format where we set a certain group of stakeholders together, depending on the issue that they're able to address, and then participants can go to each of those rooms or tables and talk about their specific issue. We're thinking that this is a very um, efficient way to deal with several problems at the same time with people who have limited time. We have received willingness from a couple of community members to help us put this together, which is great to see that kind of activism. Last week, Olivia sent a draft language for invitation emails, which we'll get out. We're aiming to have the event hopefully in May before Memorial Day, but June is our alternative.
Great. That is all that we discussed during the meeting this past week. So any questions from commissioners? All right. Turning to members of the public. Any questions from members of the public with respect to Public Safety and Engagement Committee? All right, seeing none. And then Commissioner Newland, anything else?
No, that's it. And thank you again, both Commissioner Footer and Commissioner Grant, for your time and helping out with the last meeting. Very helpful. And yeah, no, our next meeting is May 12th. So look forward to continuing these conversations. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. And then the last order of business or item in our business is a resolution. And I'm going to pull it up real quick. Commissioner Howard, did you want to speak on this resolution?
I'll just let it speak for itself. But I think we both got some constituents who called in about it, asked us to support it. I think the issue is if there has to be funding cuts to education, in particular, this particular program, that we preserve the support, financial support for at low income and at risk families first, and protect that, and make sure the cuts aren't just like across the board, because that's not an equal cut in funding that disproportionately hurts low income families.
Thank you. And so the resolution is the resolution urging equitable funding for the Pre-K Enhancement and Expansion Program, otherwise known as PKEEP. And the first couple of clauses here just lay out the fact that pre-education is an important program to support early childhood education and has demonstrated very, very positive benefits throughout an individual's life. So it's an important program to start early. Pre-K, pre-KEEP is part of a mixed delivery system of education in the District of Columbia, and it's funds for free, high quality pre-K slots at community-based organizations. And as Commissioner Howard was just mentioning, that if there are going to be cuts to programs, particularly this program, that we try to support communities that are disadvantaged that may need this programming to ensure that their children are going to any type of pre-K. And so the resolution part, the let it be resolved, is asking to expand access in areas where unmet demand for early education services, adjust enrollment incentives to support greater inclusion of low-income children, and ensure that community-based organizations receive PKEEP dollars, prioritize economically disadvantaged families. Any questions? All right, hearing none. I'll go to members of the public. Members of the public, any questions with respect to the resolution urging equitable funding for the pre-K enhancement and expansion program, PKEEP? All right, seeing none. If there are no other questions, then I'll now accept a motion to adopt the resolution urging equitable funding for pre-K enhancement and expansion program.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's first and the motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, with 6 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstentions, the motion passes and the resolution is adopted. All right. Love the agenda. That is all of our business this evening. If there is nothing further for the good of the order, then I'll now accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there any dissent? All right. Hearing none, the motion passes and we are adjourned. Just very quickly, the next general meeting for ANC 1E is Wednesday, May 28th, and the Committee of the Whole is on Tuesday, May 20th. Announcements and other information about ANC 1E are available at anc1e.org. Please feel free to contact any commissioner with any questions. And with that, thank you all for your time this evening, and we will talk to you soon. Bye all.